and a great deal of planning ahead.
You've been working with the same guy how long?
I've been working with the same group. I worked with their fathers and their uncles, and now I'm working with the sons for 40 years.
Now, is the story true that you saw them lifting a helicopter off the Pan Am building?
Do you remember, were you here in the city then?
Yes.
When the helicopter crashed on top of the Pan Am building? No one knew what to do with that helicopter. It was up there like a dead mosquito. Right. And no one wanted to take, because they couldn't get a crane on top of the building to lower it down because of the weight of the building. So no one knew what to do, and no one wanted to take on the job. And then this crew came along and they built a large rectilinear kind of box. And they put it on trolleys, and they lowered the box down with the big blades off the helicopter and the wreckage of the helicopter and the fuselage of the helicopter, piece by piece, up and down the Pan Am building. And it was on the cover, front page of the New York Times. And I needed a rigger. And I thought, these are the guys.
These guys are good.
And I went to them and I said, listen, I'm pulling a piece into the Guggenheim. Can you help me? And they said, sure.
It's a piece of cake.
Yeah.
If you can take helicopters off the top of the Pan Am building, you can take something to the Guggenheim.
I immediately liked them, and they liked me. The man's name was Ray LaChapelle, and now they've kind of evolved into a company called Budco. But we got along great, and I've known their sons, and their sons, right now their sons are working with me upstairs, and they have really helped me enormously. I can't tell you. I have a tremendous amount of respect for people who every day put in a big effort with very little acknowledgement, and they take and do a really precise job and take themselves very seriously. Because
they take their due in the doing of the thing.
Well, look, I think this, that if there's not thought in effort, then it's kind of like labor unredeemed. And these people put a great deal of thought into their effort. So they're not just some automatons. They really take a great deal of pride into the thought of their effort. They'll take like 5 minutes just to figure out how to move something 2 inches, right?
Yeah.
They think about it. It's not a kind of job where you can say, I'm going to stop and have a smoke. It doesn't work that way. And everybody has to pay attention to everyone else. So you have a great deal of respect. These people are trying to help me do my work, right? Yesterday we set 4 more lead pieces upstairs, which are like trigger hair balance. And they haven't been up maybe in this country for 40 years. They were put up in Germany and in Poland, but they haven't been back here in a long time. And at the end of the day, the man's name is Joe Velarde. He said, this is absolutely the best room up here. You don't have to know anything about art to understand and come and understand the fact that these pieces are self-supporting and the weight overhead is holding up everything that's underneath. And they took a great deal of satisfaction of putting them up. Great deal. I mean, so that's very, very rewarding for me.
But this coming together of this 40-year retrospective has this amazing sort of convergence. Number one, Kirk Varnedoe, who was in the curator of 20th century American painting and sculpture at this museum, when they brought in architects to redesign this, he insisted, because he knew that there was going to be a need for a room like this and access to a room like this. You know, you've got the extraordinary rigors. You've got work you've done. I mean, it really is the coming together. You've got a sculpture garden that can take stuff.
Yeah, it's a convergence of a lot of contingencies that I probably could not have been projected in my life. I had a retrospective here 20 years ago. I never expected to have another one. I think Kirk saw some of my work in the 80s when the torqued ellipses first started, and he thought, why not do it again? Why not have a show of Richard's here? But then when Kirk died, I must say, Lowry stepped up to the plate. And this show...
In doing what?
In saying, let's build the floor, let's build the door.
Oh, I see, yeah.
And this show was originally going to be divided between 2 museums. The Dia Foundation was going to do the retrospective that's on the 6th floor. This museum was just going to do new work and possibly some work in the garden. When the Dia Foundation, because of real estate, folded its tent, again, Glenn Lowry stepped up and said, okay, we'll do the retrospective on the 6th floor also. So I'm very indebted to Glenn. I mean, and if I think about the professionalism of this museum and the dedication that the people here have, and respect that they've shown me in pulling this show together, I couldn't work in a better house.
When you put this together in a 40-year retrospective, it makes the kind of, it has an aspect of reverential quality for the artist.
I think only if the work holds up. If the work doesn't hold up, why revere? 40 years is just 40 years. We all get 40 years. The work has to be there. Somehow the work has to connect with the people. The work has to make sense over the 40 years. The work has to show the logic of its own kind of unfolding. And I think the work has to be inventive formally. I think people have to understand that. I mean, that doesn't happen. I don't think reverence is paid lightly. And I don't know if reverence will be paid. I don't know. You never know. You can't. No, I don't know. You can't anticipate an audience. You don't know. And it changes. You don't know. I think it has a lot to do with the moment in history. It has a lot to do with context. You don't know. It has a lot to do with generations that come later. You don't know. I don't think there are any guarantees that way. Not for anyone.
Is the place of sculpture changing?
In relation to?
Art that hangs on the wall.
Only if sculptors change it. And I think what may happen...
Some people always have said it takes second place to some painting that hangs on the wall.
Yeah, I think Ad Reinhardt said, you know, when you back up sculpture is what you bump into.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, most museums are being built for wall space and for paintings on the wall, which is an old convention. I mean, sculpture has just really gotten off the pedestal and started to demand its own interaction with experience. But it's not only...
sculpture just got off the
pedestal in the 50s, 60s.
To demand...
its own interaction with people, its own experience, its own competition with other spaces, its own comparison with architecture.
Which should elevate its place.
I don't know about should, how about must?
Must, better.
Yeah, for sure, yeah. And I think it's not just the kind of sculpture I do. I think that I'm dealing with this room in a certain way. What I hope is it'll empower younger people to come in and say, okay, I can take on this room with my material. Whether it's flypaper, it doesn't matter. Whether it's weightless, it doesn't matter. For some people to take on the context, to take on the space, to do things that haven't been done before. That's the import of the show, not the relationship of that people will have to the work. If the work acts as a catalyst for people to do new things, all the better.
Is that what influence you hope to have on a whole new generation of artists? To be a catalyst for them?
To do what they need to do, not to do my work, to do what they need to do. To change the course of history, that's what they have to do. That's what every generation has to do. And what's great about it is that we can't foresee its directionality. It's not linear. Art history is not linear, no matter what a historian will tell you. It's not.
It is?
It's invented by misinterpretation. The generation that comes after misinterprets the generation that comes before, so it can either mock it or extend it. We've had a history of it through Dada, Surrealism, Abstract Expressionism. Every generation challenges the efforts and procedures and motifs and communication of the generation before. That's true in language also.
And who challenged you the most other than, I mean, did
Pollock.
Pollock did.
For
Jackson
sure.
Pollock challenged you the most.
Well,
because
originally,
he challenged
he broke all the rules in a great way. And the manifestation of breaking those rules produced great art. You can go upstairs and look at it right now. And it's still here, and it's still breathtaking.
And he challenged everything to come before.
Yeah, and he changed how we see everything
and had to withstand those people who said...
Look, some things that come along so fundamentally alter your relationship to everything that came before and everything that comes after that it's self-apparent. You know, great poets do it. Great writers do it, great composers do it. Every now and then great painters do it, great sculptors do it, but it's rare, but it happens. And you can witness it here in Newman and in Pollock. You can go back and probably see it in Monet's Water Lilies. You can see it in...
Certainly see it in Picasso and Davignon Damoiselle.
You can see it, yeah, for sure, and it's rehung right now and it looks great. You can see it in Mondrian. You can see it in Malevich. Sure, you can see it in Matisse's sculpture, even in the garden.
Okay, just one more time. So how is this going to be of that import?
I don't know.
But speculate for me.
I can't.
But is it of that quality?
How would I know? I don't know. I'm just trying to do the best I can do.
You have some instinct that this is one of those moments like Jackson Pollock?
Oh, no, I don't know that.
You don't know. But you think you are every bit, you do, of that quality.
No.
You do?
No. I think I'm of that effort.
That's it? Of that effort?
Yeah. And I don't think that effort's easily to come by. I don't think what Pollock went through to get to where he was just a walk in the woods. I think to invent something...
to know his history was clearly wasn't a walk
Well, this
in
is
the woods.
This is not a walk in the woods either, I'll tell you. This has not been a walk in the woods.
Why has it been a walk? What
just
made it not a walk in the woods?
Getting it together wasn't a walk in the woods.
Getting what together? Your life, the creative power, this exhibit.
Look, I would like this work to look effortless, but I'll tell you, it was not. And I don't want to go into the reasons why it was not, but it just is not. And it's not an easy thing to do.
Well, we want to understand the artist. Why won't you tell us what made it not easy?
If you were a shrink, I'd probably give you an idea.
But is it about you, or is it about institutions?
It's about all of it. It's about contradictions you have to face every day. It's about contradictions you have to deal with every day in relationship to trying to manifest your work that'll communicate in a way that you want it to communicate. And I think all of us every day have to deal with those contradictions. And how you resolve contradictions in relationship to your effort, how you do what you do, in a way informs what you've done. So I think all of us have to deal with those contradictions. And how you're able to sustain those contradictions and produce something kind of qualifies that. And if you ask me, was that Pollock easy? No. Was that Mondrian easy? No. Was that Cezanne easy? No. Was that Jasper?
Nothing great is easy.
Okay, fine.
There's no new idea there.
Fine. So you're asking me to put myself in relationship to those great works and say, do I know? All I know is I'm not interested in that kind of effect, but I'm interested in that kind of effort. And all I can say about people who have come before is that they've empowered me with their effort. That I look at some efforts that people have done, say Titian when he was 80 or Goya when he was 82, and I'm in awe. I'm in awe of their effort. It's not the quality, it's the effort.
Thank you.
Sure.
Great to have you.